Hello and welcome to Ethical Hacking and Penetration Testing. This is Chapter 6, Web Exploitation Techniques. So the topics we'll be covering are web application architecture, web application scanning and mapping, password attacks, web testing tools, exploiting SQL injection to full system access, exploiting blind SQL injection to full system access, exploiting RFI, local file include, file upload RCE, and cross-site scripting, DOS attacks, and attack countermeasures. So web application architecture. This is a very high-level example here. Each layer has to interact with the layer next to it. You have the user interface, which in turn interacts with the web server. Web server interacts with the application logic, and the application logic interacts with the database. In each layer, there are lots of different languages, lots of different standards that you can use. For instance, user interface, you can use HTML4.5, JavaScript, CSS, Ajax, jQuery, or JSON. Web server, you can use REST, HTTP verbs, IIS7, ASP.NET, and of course you have all the Linux ones as well. You have Light HTTPD and Apache. The application logic that interacts with the services can be C#, .NET, Link, or even Microsoft Web Services. As far as the database is concerned, you could use SQL, MySQL, SQLite, XML, SQL Server. There's many applications out there, and when you actually think about attacking a web application, you need to think about what's the underlying application using, what language is it using, what version is it using, that kind of thing, because that will really hold the key to not only gaining information but maybe even accessing the system, which of course will be the purpose of your testing, to see if you can gain access to a system without authorization. So before we talk about web application scanning and mapping, these are some of the tools that you can use, and the detection accuracy as well. So right way down the bottom, we have SQID, role detector, web injection scanner, that kind of thing. And as we get up the list, hopefully you'll start and recognize some of these things, like Skipfish right there at number 18, and W3F at number 8. At the very top, you have something called SQL Map, which is a great tool. It comes with Kali Linux and Backtrack as well. It's fantastic because not only does it allow you to look for servers running SQL, it's a complete takeover tool. It'll do everything for you. It will find a vulnerability, exploit it, and give you access to the system underneath as well, which is, to be honest, it's exactly what you want. And it'll give you information such as what code set's being run on the server, what is the server actually running, right? Is it Windows, is it Linux, is it Apache, is it Light HTTPD, that kind of thing, and what code version is being used for the application as well, what version of Java is being used, what version of .NET is being used, etc. Here is an example of SQL Map. So basically what we're doing is it's fetching columns. It's detected that the backend database management system is using SQL 5, and it's using this particular payload here. It's already decided that the username is admin, and it's already inputting the password for you here as it says here. And basically, it's fetching columns to table accounts on database OWASP 10. We'll talk about OWASP in a minute. And within here, it's got 16 entries. It's got the CID, the my signature, and the password and the username as well. And as you can see, also here, it's giving you it in a nice CSV file, so you can export it. It's a great tool. You should have a play with it online. What you could do is you could get MySQL running on Backtrack or on Kali, and use SQL Map on yourself. It means you don't need multiple bits of hardware. You don't need multiple virtual machines. Just set up a couple of different user accounts on MySQL and just run SQL Map against yourself. great way of doing it. Now, because I don't have any live instances of SQL running at the minute, we'll just have a look on this website on exactly how SQL Map works. So the first thing you do, these guys are recommending you Google a string to find the vulnerability that SQL Map can use. So any of these, really, if you type into Google and you get results, so potentially that website is susceptible to SQL mapping or SQL injection attacks. So you pick a site and you say if you search for a string in URL item underscore ID equals, and one of the search results shows that you get a link to this website. You just add a single quotation mark at the end of the URL to ensure that it's a single quotation mark only. And basically, if you get an error saying that there's an error with your SQL syntax, then there's a good chance it's going to be susceptible to SQL injection. It could redirect you to a different page if it's done properly, just so you don't really know if it's susceptible or not. It could just say item not found or something like that. So this is clearly running Microsoft SQL Server. So examples of SQLi errors from different database languages. This is what you get with Microsoft SQL. You'll get a server error in a root application, then unclosed quotation mark before the character string attack. So an unhanded exception occurred during the execution of the current website. Please review the stack trace for more information about the error or where it originated in the code. So exception details, blah blah blah, unclosed quotation mark before the character string attack again. So if you were using MySQL, you would get an error like this. Knowing these things only really comes with experience, to be honest. Unless you've used Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL before, obviously you can Google them as you see them. You don't know everything about everything on the internet. You don't know about certain application sets. You do have to Google it. Everybody is human. But anyway, if it was MySQL, you get these kind of errors here. If it was Oracle, you get these kind of errors. PostgreSQL, all the same here. So step number 2, list DBMS databases using SQL Map, SQL injection. So you run the following command on your vulnerable website with SQL Map -u, the URL --DBS. So in here you have SQL Map equals the name of the SQL Map binary file, -u is the target URL, the -DBS is to enumerate the DBMS database. So if you have a look at the screenshot below, that's what it looks like. And here you can see that the DBMS is MySQL 5 and the vulnerable databases are as follows here. That one's blanked out, and the information schema. So the command reveals quite a few interesting bits of information. It's running Apache, MySQL 5, it's retrieved information underscore schema, and SQL dummy website. So fetch data logs to text files under user share SQL map output www. And then the URL that you're testing against. So you can have a look at both of these databases with this tool. So step number 3 is to list tables of target databases using SQL Map SQL injection. Same string, except you have -d SQL dummies website minus tables, and then you get what tables are listed within there, as shown here. And of course, you want to check what's inside the user info table using SQL Map SQL injection, as it probably contains usernames and passwords. So we have a look here. To list the columns on the target table, user info of SQL dummy website, you use this syntax here, and you can see all the fields within that particular table. And again, this is what it looks like: user login, user password, and the type as well.